Okay, we are back doing another kanji review, this time of the second chapter of the N5 book. And the only reason I'm doing this actually is because of a comment in the previous video who said that the first one that I did with the first chapter was really good and please post more. So that motivated me to actually record it because I did try to do more of the review stuff for chapter 1, but it's kind of hard to do like a video of it without showing the book, and there are some legal implications if I were to just film the entire book. So that's why I hesitated whether or not I should do more, but let's just go ahead and jump into it and try our best to make it useful for you guys while I'm also reviewing this, because it is very much review for me too. So we're gonna go ahead and list out all the new kanji in this chapter. This one is the kanji character for basically the moon. There's like a picture of the moon. This is the kanji character. Also, by the way, I'm not gonna care about stroke order. Sometimes I'll get it right, sometimes I'll get it wrong. But this one is the kanji character for fire. I'm not very good at drawing fire, but yeah. The next kanji character is for water. I'll just do a water droplet. That was the worst water droplet ever. And then this one is for a tree. Next one is gold. I don't have a character for that, so I'm just gonna, or a picture for that I can draw. So I'm gonna keep going. Next one is basically like earth, the sun, and then the new year, or year basically. Whenever I see it, I think of a new year, but it's just year. Okay, so that's every single kanji character inside of chapter 2. I really would like to be able to write better, but that is the best I can do right now. So 8 characters total. Some chapters have more, some chapters have less. But let's go ahead and go over each one and their onyomi and kunyomi. And I'll also give some example sentences. First one is moon, and the multiple pronunciations. This one has 3: tsuki, getsu, and gatsu. So if it's by itself, it's basically tsuki, if you see this kanji character by itself. But if it's with, say, something like the character's kon right here, then it would be kongetsu. So it'd be using this one if you saw it like this. And if you saw it with like a number, like let's say number 5, and then right here afterwards, then that would be go gatsu. So the months are gatsu, while any like duration or time period is getsu. And another one that is shown quite often is getsuyobi, which means Monday. Another sort of use for this character for getsu instead of kongetsu is, let's say you want a duration. That would be something along the lines of, say, 3 months. You would say sankagetsu instead of sangetsu. I made that mistake trying to talk to someone at the park once, and they corrected me saying, oh yes, you're staying here for 3 months. That's sankagetsu, not sangetsu. So those are the multiple uses of this kanji right here. Let's move on. Next is the fire character, which I did not draw very well, but basically this one is hi and ka. This is a katakana character, so there's no dot at the top. Once in a while, I will do some example sentences where I don't actually know what the terms mean, so I'm going to be using ChatGPT as my dictionary. So let's find out what this is. Danro no hi wa atatakai desu. Makes sense since there is a picture of a fireplace. So danro is a fireplace, and then hi is the fire. So hi by itself is fire, and there's another use for this, which is yobi, which means Tuesday. And that's pretty much all the book gets into, so let's go ahead and move on. So that one's a quick one. Okay, next one is water, and this one's a pretty common one, mizu, as well as the Chinese pronunciation, sui. I'll go ahead and read a example sentence. This is nodo ga kawakimashita, mizu ga nomitai desu. And that just means I'm thirsty and I want water. So this by itself is usually just mizu. But if you put it with something else, like for instance, this right here, suiyobi, that's Wednesday. An example would be suiyobi wa eiga ga yasui desu. And that just means the movies are cheap on Wednesday, I believe. That's all the examples they give for this one, so let's move on. The next one is the symbol for, tree. And then the character in hiragana is ki, so that's how you say tree. And then we have boku and moku. So oftentimes, I learned this word from my friend as well. Whenever I pointed at a tree that I really liked, then I would just say something like kirei na ki. So it's literally just ki as a tree. So if it's by itself and you say it by itself, you just say ki. So an example would be eki no mae ni sakura no ki ga arimasu. Let me say that one more time. Eki no mae ni sakura no ki ga arimasu. I still need to work on my reading abilities. Sometimes I stumble. But that just means that there's a tree in front of the station, a sakura tree in front of the station. And there's another version of this, or another variation if it's with, sorry, not that character, if it's with tai and you see the kanji. Also, usually, I think in most writing, this would also be a different kanji. As of right now, the book is showing the hiragana characters because we haven't gotten to that kanji yet. But most likely, this is meant to be a different kanji. But the example is, この公園は古い大木が有名です. So this pronunciation would be this one instead. And let's find out what that means. I know it's like park, old, it's like old sort of tree is famous. But what kind of tree? What's a taiboku? Let's find out. この公園は古い大木が有名です. That sort of makes sense. Taiboku, because tai is like the character for, I didn't draw that perfectly, but it's a big tree, I guess. And as you can see in ChatGPT, this character right here is clearly the character for big. We haven't gotten to that yet, but it's a very easy character to recognize. So taiboku is big tree. Moving on. 毎週木曜日に会議があります. So that means every week on Wednesday there's a meeting. And it's written in the example like this. But once again, this part right here is usually a different kanji. I'm not sure. It's hard for me to write it, so let's say it. Mokuyobi. So that's the kanji right there. It looks like that. And I'm not surprised why I can't write that because that middle one looks really difficult. But just keep in mind that whatever I'm writing in hiragana, most of the time there will probably be like a kanji for it. Not all the time, but most of the time. And that's pretty much all the examples for this one. Let's move on. All right, next one is gonna be the character for gold. This one is kane, okane, and then another one for kin. And there's an example sentence that says, レジでお金を払います. Or, sorry, 払います. So 払います means to pay. And I'm guessing reji means register. Let's find out. レジでお金を払います. And it thinks I said Lizzie. I'll just go ahead and type it out. It's much easier to do this for me at the moment. Reji. Why is it not? Okay, I think I'm right. It did say at the register. The second part that said dochi is like not actually what I meant to say, or it just picked up what I was saying in English. Okay, moving on. So it seems that for the example, there was an o right there, and that means okane, which means money. And by itself, in this example sentence, it seems to be pronounced slightly differently. So right now, the kanji is by itself in this example sentence. I'll say it. デパートで金のネックレスを買いました. One more time. デパートで金のネックレスを買いました. So gold necklace, bought it at the department store is what that means. And the kanji character is by itself and it's pronounced kin instead of okane. And then there's the other one, of course, we're going over pretty much all the days. So if you see yobi after that, kinyobi is Friday. I don't know if I mentioned, but mokuyobi is Thursday. So the example is, kinyobi ni mina de osaka, sorry, one more time. Kinyobi ni mina de osake o nomi ni ikimasu. So when I read, I separate the sentences quite a bit. Let me try that one last time. And I'll do it a little bit slower and try to flow with it a bit better. 金曜日にみんなでお酒を飲みに行きます. Which means that on Friday, I went with everyone to drink some sake. That's pretty much it. All right, and that's everything for that character. Moving on. And this character, I believe, is like earth. And the pronunciations are tsuchi as well as do. So the example that they give is 土から小さい芽が出ました. And I honestly have no idea what that means, so let's go ahead and find out. 土から小さい芽が出ました. Okay, so tsuchi in this context means the ground. It's like tsuchikara means from the ground. And chisai me must mean the small sprout. Demashita, because demashita means like came out of or something along those lines. It makes sense because there's a photo that in the book of like small sprouts coming out. Okay, and the other example is 毎週土曜日は休みです. One more time. 毎週土曜日は休みです. And that just means every week, Saturday, there's a break or like a rest day. All right, and we are on the last two characters now. This character right here is the one that represents sun and has quite a lot of different ones according to this book. So he be, sorry, this is a dot. P, let me make that clear. Okay, P, and then ka, and then nichi, and then this is a little bit confusing. I believe this is jitsu. I can't tell the stroke order in the book since it's kind of small. If I could see it more clearly, I could tell the difference between the tsu and shi easier. But I'm gonna just assume for now that it's jitsu. Okay, some examples are 来週の日曜日は母の日です. So this is nichi. In that context, we're using it as such, 日曜日. And now instead of the B right here, we're changing it to this character from back then. All the yobis, the days, you can now use this character since we learned it. And Mother's Day right here is haha no hi. And I also learned mother a little bit ago, so I should actually be able to write it properly. Haha no hi. So this basically just means next Sunday is Mother's Day. 来週の日 or sorry, 来週の日曜日母の日です. Okay, next example is mixed in with the other kanji character, so we got to introduce that one. But I'm guessing most of these right here follow some sentence or some, not sentence, but some sort of prefix, I guess, in Japanese, and then it ends like with the B or the P. But hopefully we encounter some of these, examples of these later. But for now, the next sentence already has this character, so I'm going to introduce it. And this one is year. We got toshi as well as nen. And I apologize, my writing is not the best, but it's toshi and nen. And the example sentence actually doesn't make sense to me, but I'll write it out. It's like this. So this right here is a combination of characters we've learned in this lesson, in this chapter, and it's pronounced seinen gapi, seinen gapi. Maybe I should pronounce the small tsu just a little bit more. So seinen gapi, seinen gapi. Let's find out what that means. Seinen gapi o oshiete kudasai. I'm gonna assume that means please remember my birthday, but let's just try it one more time. Seinen gapi. And let's change this one to be hiragana since the example that I have is hiragana. Okay, it means birthday. So seinen gapi means birthday, and oshiete kudasai means to just like please learn, I guess. Sorry, not learn. Oshiete kudasai means to teach, actually. So please teach. Oshiete kudasai. Oshiete kudasai. Definition. Crap. Definition. Okay, so it means please inform me or please tell me. All right, moving on. Now we have a combination of previous kanji, and this is jichigatsu, and this is the day for number 7, which it's kind of confusing. It's nanoka. So together that's shichigatsu nanoka wa tanabata desu, which I have no idea what that means. Tanabata. Tanabata desu. Why is it doing that? ChatGPT is being pretty dumb now. Okay, Tanabata is a festival. Okay, so apparently on July 7th, there is a festival, a star festival. And let's just go ahead and say the next example sentence with ChatGPT so we don't have to keep repeating in case I don't know it. 毎年誕生日に花をあげます. I think that means, I'm gonna assume that's, because I know mainen is every year, and then tanjobi's birthday, hana o agemasu. Agemasu means to give. So every year on my birthday, I give flowers, but ChatGPT says that person, which I didn't know I could do this. That's kind of cool. Okay, which means it's not necessarily that person. It could mean anybody. There's no noun there, so there's not really too much context, I feel. Anyways, moving on. That is pretty much it, actually. So that's every kanji character that we learned in this chapter. I'll go ahead and show it again right here. once again, each one has a different pronunciation depending on whether the kanji is alone or with other characters or other kanji. So basically, you have to remember these characters in context, and that's why saying the sentences out loud is very useful. But that is pretty much it for chapter 2. Hope you guys enjoyed that one. This was definitely a good review for me as well. We learned all about basically all the days and one extra one with years. Okay, and that's it. I'll catch you guys in chapter 3.